flashlights are really, really bright. My name is Elise Melton. I'm the National Director of Spoken Word Canada, and I will be your host for this evening. Are y'all excited? Not about me, but about the poetry? Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Amazing. So 2 of the teams from this bout will be going on to the to the finals tomorrow night at the Roxy Theatre. Amazing. So I just got off a plane and I am super excited to be back in Saskatoon. And if it looks like I went to a business meeting this morning in this outfit, it's because I did. I had a job interview this morning, but not in these boots. And I'm so glad to be back with poets. You have no idea. All right, I think we're settled. Missy, are we settled? We're ready to go? Awesome. So we have 4 incredible teams, including Canada+slam, Saskatoon, KW+slam, and Calgary. Are you ready for blood? You don't sound that hungry. Call for it. Yes. Please welcome to the stage ERIN from Vancouver.
It's terrifying having people call for your blood. Just saying. Guideline for packing up a decade of your life because your parents are separating, semicolon, your inevitable descent into alcoholism, the drinking game. Take a shot for every old math assignment you find. No chase if it's from elementary school. This is your punishment for being a hoarder, or for your lack of ability to recognize what is and is not important. Take a shot and a picture for every poem you once felt good about that now makes you question if you are fit to hold a pen ever again. This is also acceptable for journal entries. Side note, if you decide to go the route of tearing these relics of your personal history up and ridding yourself of the vile creations, please remember to recycle. Your old work doesn't need to be garbage on 2 levels. Chug your drink, chug it, whenever you find remnants of old lovers, stains, crumpled discovered handcuff boxes, flowery correspondences conveying undying love or spite, both of which have probably died. For every time you don't cry getting rid of the stuffed animals who are your best friends and quiet confidants, for every time you withstand the fetal position's mating call while looking into their glass eyes and finding your earliest ideas about humanity in there, reward yourself. Fix yourself something nice named after a city. Put a little umbrella in it. You deserve it. When you realize that your parents don't have the storage space for your comic books, take a swig. Have a second when you figure out you don't have the means to transport them elsewhere, and a third when you finally recycle them. The memorized panels stare up at you from between egg cartons and empty cans of Campbell's soup. Hope that you've adopted Bruce Wayne's courage and Jughead's shut-eyed serenity, that you have learned well enough. If you are vomiting by now, that's okay. You can always use the alcohol as an excuse. Rest, have 3 cups of water, go back to the liquor store and pick your poison. Have a drink if the poison you picked is not the one that destroyed your home. Toast making different bad decisions than your parents. Drink if you are trying to retrace their steps. It is a bad idea to do this. If you feel an abnormal loss of free will or trapped in your traits, lips to the bottle, do not mix with medication. Throw up again if you need to. Try and get it all in the toilet. There's another family moving into this house in 3 days. Now, put your shot glass to rest. Pick up a pen and sign your name somewhere sneaky, where it's not going to be found or painted over. Wipe your mouth, walk to the door, thank the place, and take your baggage with you.
All right. Are you ready for, this thing that's coming up? Yeah? We're ready? Yeah? For the second bout of CFSW 2012 semifinals? All right!
How is it that what is about to happen happened to you? You, who were taught about love like history and time like slavery. How is it we marched straight into poverty? Believing we'd find water on the moon, we could have just closed our eyes. Calculating point A to point B, we could have been calculating ubiquity. Did you know? The year 46 BC lasted 445 days thanks to Julius Caesar's calendar reform, appropriately referred to as Annus Confucianus, the cosmic brain fart that fucked it all up. This incoherence went incorrected until 1582, 20 years after the Mayan book burning, when Pope Gregory VIII sent people to bed on October 5th and woke them up on October 16th. With the help of colonial prisms, European circumvention, hypnotism, technological advances in communication and transportation, plus American neoliberal imperialism, the Gregorian calendar stands today as sole dictator and primary instrument for the organization of human affairs on Earth. Some of you are like, hype, you're on your way too high shit. Nerds know I'm on my Marty McFly shit, check it out. The word calendar comes from the Roman word calendae, meaning accounts. The first day of the month when all debts are due. So on the last day of history when all debts are due, ask yourself who this bill is payable to, huh? Did you keep the receipts of good deeds and deceit, or did you throw them in the trash alongside the Mayan book of time? Do cows stop producing milk because of rising inflation? Do babies abort themselves when the parents can't afford them? Does the world stop turning because we're the ones in revolution? More questions than answers, but less anger than love. How do I explain the catastrophe of man to a polar bear? Listen, man, I'm really sorry. We had a crazy party called History last night. We got really fucked up, got carried away. I'm really sorry about your place, bro. Motherfuckers better recognize this calendar is a trap. The root of all mistakes. Sorcery over matter and time in the mind, when time in the mind is a matter of frequency. Seasonalities, if you will. An internal pendulum calling on the soul of a man to carry on the evolution of life on Earth. But who's gonna listen to a polar bear anyway? Let alone the caribou, who take part in the largest land migration on Earth, shutting off their circadian rhythms when crossing time zones in order to keep running through 24-hour daylight. Maybe that's us, ignoring the beat of our own drum just to make it to our next destination. So migrate. My parents did it. Everybody's doing it. Even the mountains migrate. And if the soul of mankind is more vast than the Himalayas, then maybe we're not meant to see it move in one lifetime. But best believe it is, and sometimes it rhymes slow and sometimes it rhymes quick. I'm from a prehistoric diasporic, and the legacy of the Mayan jaguar priest, letting you know there is no triumph over nature. Letting you know the most reliable calendar is the one in your body, so don't follow nobody. Letting you know that what is about to happen could have only happened to us, and what has already happened could have only happened for a reason. For we're never really at home, just forever arriving. And if you think I wrote this poem because I'm always late, then I'm letting you know that immigrant time is God's time. And maybe it's you who's always early.
I want to write a love poem to poetry, to spoken word as it's now sometimes called. It has to be a poem because if I just tell you how I felt as I listened to Mike McGee and C.R. Avery and Shane Koizan and Nicole and Zoe and every single poet who has spoken these past few days, it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough to just tell you, but if I could write a poem, if I had that in me, maybe I could make you understand even a part of how much I love this. I like to sit at the front of things I think I might care about because I want to be able to see the details. I want to be able to tell if every tiny subtlety, every nuance of expression fits with the whole. Whether the flick of an eyebrow contributes to the essence, whether there seems to be a tear forming in the corner of the performer's eye, whether it's possible for a nose hair out of place to detract from the performance. So I was sitting at the front as Mike McGee and C.R. Avery and Shane Koizan and Nicole and Zoe spoke. And I was glad I was at the front soaking in those details, but at some point each time, something told me to turn around. And when I did, I saw something so beautiful. I saw a crowd of people filling to overflowing a slightly seedy bar in a kind of boring, kind of conservative town on a Sunday night, and these people were mesmerized. And it seemed that the reason that they were mesmerized was that they could tell that what was happening in front of them was important. Not in the way that the world economic crisis or global warming or the Pope or decoding the human genome is important, but in the way that the human soul is important, and that someone who can decode a bit of that is important. And we should listen to them. Really listen. We shouldn't be talking. We shouldn't be ordering a beer. We shouldn't be texting Lisa to see what she's doing later. We shouldn't move. Maybe we shouldn't breathe, because we don't want to miss a millisecond of this. And we don't want to take a chance that something we do might spoil this moment, even a little bit, because this matters. And I suddenly saw that this whole generation that didn't seem to have a plan just needs something to plan for, that these kids who don't seem to really care just need something to care about, that these people who sometimes seem a little lost just need someone to give them a hint of a possible direction. Is it too much to ask of our poets that they could change the world? I don't think so. In fact, I feel sure right now that if there's one thing that Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Jesus and Mother Teresa and Albert Einstein and John Lennon must have had in common, it's that they must all have been poets. So, I'm in love with poetry. It's a newfound love, or at least a very old one that's been rekindled, so I'm kind of mushy about it right now. But I just love the way it makes me feel. And I love the way I see it makes you feel. And I love the way it seems that we can love each other just by being in the same room with it.
You call them stretch marks, harpoon scars, and dermatological imperfections. Well, I call them purple stripes of victory, awarded for years of active duty in the cervix. Stretch marks! Yeah. Stretch marks! Stretch marks! Here! I call them silver fault lines, seams where cataclysmic orgasms tore me asunder and left me shattered under a lover's hands. I call them canals, streams, roots, and drainage ditches running so long and deep so that all the shit you throw at me just rolls right on off. I call them tree rings, stretching as tall as any sequoia. I count each groove as another season passed, another decade in a mystery so ancient, you fear the secret language of woman's body. These vertical and horizontal hieroglyphs that reveal whether this cracked field lies fallow or swells with lush purple vines. You call them stretch marks, but I know that they are highways bisecting the latitudes and longitudes of my body, leading you home safely to my heart. Stretch marks. Here. Stretch marks.
Here.
Stretch marks.
Here.
Shit!
What?
I just found a pimple! Oh.
When we first met, I said my name is Andre. You said yours was Marcus, and oh, did we fall in love so quick. We bonded over twisted shit and flaunted the emotional scars carved on our wrist. We were so familiar with one another, it was as if we were looking into a mirror. And when I laid beside you, I used to play connect the dots with every speckle and spot inside your beautiful hazel eyes. And when I did, I felt like Galileo charting constellations. Your smile brought forth new prospects of hope like a railroad being built from coast to coast, or your grin from ear to ear. But I suppose it didn't even cross my mind that the calmest part of a hurricane is its eye as we closed ours and kissed. Conjoined at the lips, we turned into a pair of Siamese werewolves as we slowly ripped each other apart. Our bond had become bondage, that single piece of rope connecting our wrists as our demons danced around in vicious circles, wielding a knife in the other hand, awaiting that perfect opportunity to gouge out the other eye. And yes, I was told that love is a battlefield, but when I wanted to leave you, you turned into psychological warfare. Because somewhere in between your suicide notes left like Jim Jones love letters with no fixed address, because shit like that always hit me close to home. And the way that your nose made love to every pile of drug in front of you, in spite of me, you were pale and looked like a cocoon that was dying inside. But it was your threats, the way they had me reliving Old Yeller, with your parched mouth clicking every syllable to sound like an indecisive thumb, playing with the safety of a shotgun. It was you who was rabid. The way that you described me being plucked from my bed, stuffed in a trunk, carved-faced, and left on my mother's doorstep. It was you who was rabid. The way that you would raise your fist and watch me flinch and say no more warnings, like you were a weatherman on strike, and the delicate tiptoeing I did over the eggshells of your emotion was nothing more than a rain dance incognito. It was you who was rabid, the way that you smiled at me and revealed the froth in between your parting lips. And when you did, I felt like Galileo trying to see through smog pollution, realizing your smile was a lie. So afraid of what your hands would do to me, I ran back into your arms, and that is when you held me hostage. The way I would curl next to you every night, praying my tears would be the holy water needed to relinquish you from your demons. They were not. So like Houdini from Straitjacket, I escaped. I left you with an empty wall, an empty bed, but my smell still in the pillows. I left you with no closure, just the sound of an angry door, quoting the Raven, nevermore. I left you because love was a 4-letter word that turned into 5 once it became abuse. You had done a marvelous job at making me feel cowardly, weak, and unwanted. But my name is Andre, yours is Marcus, and I am not your mirror.
He can't count. Not when it comes to the amount of times he's been screamed at, torn apart, ridiculed, hit. But others could tell you how many times he finally overcame his restraints and fought back. Vilified in a story where there is no protagonist, his apparent sins are sung from the scaffold for all to hear so that he can wear it upon his skin like the mark of Cain. He can't count, not when it comes to prayers of whispered serenity, his words hidden from his children by an offbeat rhythm of a shower imitating rain. Truly, though, what he craves is contentment in a surrender, a luscious, sweet-dripping stickiness like overripened fruit, bonding his lips together to make his silence more bearable. He is the voiceless one, father of 4, though from the scaffold she proclaims he cares no more than strangers on the street, for his love is not that of a mother's, and therefore obsolete. He can not count, not when it comes to the accusations he hears from 4 small voices, injurious words spewed with the hostility of another's mouth, 4 small pairs of hands given a hood to veil him with and a guillotine to carry out his punishment, for he's guilty before he's innocent. He knows that it is their mother that inspires them, a woman who wears a band twinned to that on his left ring finger. But his silence is much like the comforting warmth of the covers he tucks beneath his sleeping children's chins to ward away nightmares. Sometimes he can count, but when he does, he gets stuck at 31, 32, the number 33. For his wife had been 33 weeks along and expecting when they said I do. His eldest is now 33 years, the same amount of time he stayed silent. His youngest came 33 days early, as if eager to embrace a world that would only hurt and disappoint them. So 33 hours before she had planned to depart, he stood outside the door, and 32 times he pleaded, "I love you. Please don't leave us." But before he could allow that plea to leave his lips for the 33rd time, he turned to his children, took their hands into his own, and led them out of the silence, listening to the sweet sound of the door slamming shut.
Toys can be full of surprises, shapes and sizes, and disguises. Parallel trapezoidal, pink and green fluorescent stripes. There's zillions of different types. You can hold them, hurl them, fold them, twirl them, mold them, curl them, roll and unfurl them, and hang them from a paper moon. I remember my first toy. I was 3 years old, given a plain gray rabbit made of synthetic felt. But what I felt for that little Rabby was anything but synthetic. Rabby was drooled on, dragged around, leapt with, slept with, sung to, cuddled with. I literally loved him to death, because by the time I was 4, Rabby was so shabby. All that was left of him was a tiny little piece of cloth. No eyes, no ears, no nose, no body. Bye-bye, Rabby. When I was 5, my sister got a gigantic, enormous plastic dollhouse, and I loved playing in the big cardboard box that it came in. On my 6th birthday, I tear off the wrapping. I know it's a trick present. Open a big gift. Inside one is another, wrapped inside another, each one getting smaller. I can't believe they're going to all that trouble just for me. Oh, please, please let it be the watch I've been asking for, hinting at. Finally, I tear the wrapping off, the littlest present, the biggest surprise. It is a watch! I could finally tell everyone in the world what time it was. To me, that watch was wireless, tireless, windproof, waterproof, fireproof, shockproof, shatterproof, bombproof. But it wasn't foolproof, because I lost the darn thing. My parents were right, for once. Don't leave your toys lying around. But as we've grown and gotten older, toys have become somewhat bolder, shall we say more sophisticated. Gizmos, gadgets, digital doodads, fidget with a widget, can't afford it, too bad. Get it updated, upgraded, X-rated. Like the toy so many girls adore, next to the bed in the bottom drawer. Like the gasm giver, Toys are part of daily living. Boys like flashy cars being driven. Let's go for a little spin. To buy more toys. The politician doll, you wind it up. It makes promises it can't keep. The neurotic doll gets all wound up by itself over nothing. Xbox, iPod, games where you can play God, super ultra mega bundle, television, smell-o-vision. For some. But me, I play with a pen and piece of paper. And tick-a-tick-a-tick-a-tick-a type on my keyboard. And every phase I go through becomes a phrase I grow through. My poetic passions become a toy to twirl my world around, a joy to swirl my words around. I've become a Lex fiend. Lovers of language get to play with the ultimate toy, our imaginations. And that's a toy you never want to lose.
Welcome to the final rose ceremony on Canadian Immigration Bachelorette, where 3 lucky immigrant bachelors battle it out for their last chance at permanent residency by marrying me, the Bachelorette. Whose exotic flavor will spice up my life the most? Will it be Jorge from Mexico,
Hola, señor.
Maurice from France,
Bonjour.
or Footy from Jamaica?
Is footy.
According to the CIC, you've all been set to be deported by the end of the show. Only one of you will succeed in securing my heart and successful citizenship. Jorge, on our morning date, your challenge was to rearrange my gardens, clean my toilets, and make me tasty tacos. I would expect a Mexican to accomplish these tasks with ease, but you were unsuccessful.
They weren't tacos, they were pupusas. I told you I'm from El Salvador.
Canadian immigration law states that you must be a skilled worker to enter our home on native land. What skills can you offer our slightly struggling economy?
Señorita, I'm an astrophysicista. Okay, my program has been at the cutting machete of the International Space Program. I made personal breakthroughs in every method of space.
Space stories bore me, and my garden isn't getting any greener. Adios, Jorge.
Hijo de la gran chingada.
Maurice, on our date, your challenge was to take me out for a night on the town.
Ah, oui.
Before I passed out, I remember you called me a little poot.
Grande pute.
Sounded cute, like kitten, but I didn't understand what it meant.
It was French for prostitute. You were giving belly button shots to every Québécois who offered you a poutine.
Canadian immigration law states that you must be fluent in both English and French. How will you adjust your silly accent to our native tongue?
Incroyable. Silly accent. I'm a PhD professor. I teach 9 languages. French, the old and the new dialect. Latin, Arabic, Mandarin, Cantonese.
MSG gives me a headache, and I don't really care for exotic fruit. I just really wanted some poutine. Au revoir, Maurice.
C'est pas possible.
Our final bachelor is Footy.
Is footy.
On our relaxing afternoon, you picked me up at 4:21 exactly, eyes ablaze with passion. We then spent the rest of the day in the park listening to Bill Marley.
Is Bob Marley.
He's my favorite Beatle, but they did a lot of drugs. Canadian law has no tolerance for dangerous substances such as marijuana plants. This is a serious issue for both myself, my country, and my future children. How will you teach solid morals to the future generation in the face of such a serenity-sodomizing, parasitical, sickle-celled society?
My girl, listen here, sir. The same law where you are follow, or the same law them use to rule you. For 35 years I dare just protect the righteous.
I don't really believe in God.
I's a liar to rotted. I studied law a long time. And we you want to know? This your knowledge come from the earth. You represent Babylon immigration policy.
Excuse me, but I've been to Jamaica, and for someone from a tropical paradise, you need to learn to chill. We have manners here in our glorious nation ruled by Her Majesty the Queen.
La reina, yo solo tengo una queen and she's not here today.
I now worship Lizard Brent.
Merde.
So what will it be, Maurice? Looks like you're my knight in shiny fondue.
One question. Are you Québécoise?
Yes, oui, je suis.
I'm going to Norway.
Insanity is a nail biter, a nervous habit begging to break itself, hanging from a lip. Sentience is a soul searcher, sifting through cascades of emotion, yearning for emancipation. Inception is a dream catcher, a feather in a spider web, a treasure chest in a mast at the bottom of a mermaid tank, a one-of-a-kind diamond found only in black holes, a leaking battery, in a heap of shrapnel, raining acid echoes of reflection flashed before me as my synapses fluttered and fired like flies on fresh forbidden fruit. Biting into the bloodthirst of a fountain goddess sputter, drowning in her own boundless, buoyant, evaporating voice. I was gargling prayer, wondering where she went as the nurse asked if I had thoughts of suicide. Feeling like I had died already, having manifested what I would leave this body for, only to taste it dissolve like an antipsychotic alongside the flakes of flesh I had bitten off of paradise. Enchantment is a romantic language, and deception is a fake accent.
Insanity is an alien tongue, written into the coded thread of a robot ragdoll, a voodoo Van Gogh made of Buddha bamboo, stabbed by my own spine at both ends, curled into an internal rebirth mark, an eye on the back of my heart, watching the magnolia stains along my scapula blossom into breath under not yet broken skin. Failure is a scar worth healing, an investment in humility I have made as I try not to gag on the prayer that some serpentine sentiment may yet still catch my dreams, to hang like shards of a psych ward window from a crystal cave on a distant crater, making an impact that I was never meant to understand or even see.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Hate the store where you spend more for sleek, sterile white walls and illusions of communal cool. Apples biting into your core, demanding more from your wallet, your want, your soul. They'll give it to you. They'll take your dollar bills. They'll cling to you with infinite flawed updates because you didn't buy a product, you bought in. And they begin to own you 8 gigs at a time, sliding cool through your contacts, distracting you with shiny widgets, touchscreen touching you where it shouldn't. Soothing apprehension with virtual QWERTY keyboard, headphone jacking off, notes noting your preferences and delivering them to marketing. This orchard fools you with yearly drops that drop nothing but hype and keep the cash crop coming. Chinese children out on limbs for thousands of Mac Daddy suburban branches. Smug profits seizing your visa with a pleasing economy of motion, confident that closed system technology will keep you when devotion wanes. You will remain apple-sauced, pressing cold glass to your fevered cheek, seeking connection, perfection in a phone that's smarter than you are. Paying out of pocket for more juice, though apple juice is the least nutritious. But you start to lie to yourself that wants are needs, that 5 trumps 4 trumps 3, because the apple tree grows greed as a quarterly commodity. And yet, it's not that simple. See, the apple doesn't fall far from my tree. I'm conflicted. I need some guidance, and well, they have an app for that. And apps for that and that and that and that and, well, I want to talk with unknown friends on Facebook, cruise for dirty chat or pics, and Google what is making me feel sick. I want more. I want to text cartoons, kill angry birds, be God in my pocket, bank and get tanked and buy and breed with 365 sex positions free. I want more. I want to see myself if I were fat or old and find out if it's cold without opening my door. I want more. I want to know the football scores, even though I don't really care. I want to beat a pair with a straight. I want to count my calories so I don't gain weight. I don't want to wait. I want to seize the music and the pop culture references and pledge my paycheck to the Church of I. Suckle at the milky teat of sweet soulless pseudoscience. I want my piece of the apple pie. See, I'm hooked on iTunes, so I'm already in their files. I was booked before the bastards brought out video. Besides, they tell me my kind bit the apple long ago. Another nibble couldn't hurt, you know. It's Monsanto sweet. I barely notice those cyanide seeds because I still want more. Because I wrote this on my now outdated iPhone 4.
To all the starving artists carving marvelous artifice out of the starkest darkness, what up?
What up? To all the starving artists carving marvelous artifice out of the starkest darkness, what up?
To all my people with a penchant for penmanship.
Entrenched in sentences, drenched in the relentlessness of endless text.
Presented when the present tense presents its best.
Expected when your presence ends, irrelevant reflections spent.
Impressed by pretentious trends.
To all my people EQing snares and tightening drums, tuning to strike like lightning above.
Facing fears held by some of being young and in love.
From ivory towers to the grimiest slums, we rise from the glum and ride tides to the sun, announcing with pride that our lives have begun.
To all my people who lift their skinny wrists like antennas to the heavens.
Fist gripping clenched pens, beating sheets senseless.
Bleeding truth in fleeting pools of ink blots, never retreating or believing when the beast deceives us to think
stop. To all my people screaming fuck the police, but always keep the peace, respecting native chiefs.
Using beats to squash beats.
To anyone without guns who's ever rocked gold teeth,
cause they know that tongues are the ones that hold heat.
Immigrant accents hold the motif in slow speech, fast talking their way every day to the soul's crease.
To all my people gritting teeth when sleep drops,
lost in deep shock,
taught to decrease free thought.
This is battling fighters talk. To all reciters rattled by writer's block,
painters searching for the right rock to chalk,
dancers stressing over which step to connect hops,
who give all they've got in spite of stage fright,
and face bright stage lights with rage like a cage fight. To all my people who stay humble during standing ovation,
those who've escaped cell bars using music notation,
sneaking out to perform despite their probation, evolved beyond location to know the truth of a nation, grooving on stages to commune with the ancients, losing hatreds, complacence in tune, choosing patience.
To all my people whose interests aren't who to impress,
but how to express our reverence
for the wisdom and benevolence of heartfelt impressions, starved
wretched from lack of attention,
treasures in the trenches blocked from mention beyond city fences.
To all my people who spit the diatribes of dying tribes, setting time aside to become timeless scribes, heeding guiding signs from the highest skies, past violent bribes and a tyrant's lies, silent defiant vibes going deep like an iron mine to discover the I and I.
To all my people who live pretend rich, who thank the heavens when feasting with friends and relatives,
who know this is what they need to do,
who don't fear having to choose between a dream and food,
because living alongside what's real and true will always relieve the two. To all my people who play connect the dots with the stars in the sky,
who've learned to love all the
scars in their lives, because even the farthest that shines
will travel darkness to find
the largest of eyes regardless of time. To all the starving artists carving marvelous artifice out of the starkest darkness, what up?
Please keep leaving your mark upon the hearts of those who've yet to realize the divine hasn't chosen us or sent gifts from the sky, but rather we've decided to set our sights high in hopes of walking alongside the divine each and every time we shine.
I wrote this for my cousin. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I'm waiting for the night to lose myself in her sky, to stare up at the dead dreams of her dead children, and to be enthralled by her reflected pale light. And I wonder as I wander in a restless fatigue, tonight I can't sleep in this bed. Tonight, I can't get out of my head. I'm trying to relive moments of my childhood with you, but now I'm a dilapidated factory in a forgotten harbor town, spitting out cigarette butt boats and rattling out caustic smoke. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick. How could you walk through fire with no rain to cool these coals? You walked on charred skeleton souls with a burden greater than anyone should bear. But boys don't cry, even when the wood claims a breadcrumb trail. And underneath this dark canopy, you wondered why the dawn was such an adversary. And a single day would pass as 2 weeks away from home, losing yourself to the will-o'-the-wisp whispering from deep within your soul. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The woods are lonely, dark, and deep. Through thistles, thorns, and cat and nine tails, you're being stripped bare. Raw and bloody strips of flayed flesh give rise to brambles rambling on your eyes, a blank canvas. Through this, your brushstrokes blurring faces from your memory, blurring faces for this tragedy. And boys don't cry, but the irony is palpable. Tick tock, tick tock, tick. Emotions ebb but seldom flow from these sardonic thunderheads. With humble and contrite hearts we pray whatever gods would hear us, but flickers of forever, this lingers to never break the sky, while forgotten faces follow, twisting in the void behind closed eyes. You're drawn to self-slaughter, like a moth to the flame, like flies to a moonlit corpse. Tick tock, tick tock. The sullied flesh of young men left behind, emboldened by this boys don't cry equivocation, unchecked illness, never a demon. Masks with little light can shine from behind hidden frowns and a cheerful performance. And the cracks are showing to swallow you whole. Bleak and crestfallen, you're being stripped bare. Tick, tock, tick. Bang! Wife. Bang! Child. Bang! How narrow must a path be for the angel of mercy to grace a man as a loaded gun in the palm of his hand? In 3 deafening thunder strikes, the clouds will break to wash away the thistles, thorns, and unshakable unseen walls. Depression is a time bomb, and we can stop it from ticking if we just start talking. But here the seeds of my family tree fall to the earth, not planted, buried.
Mon cher petit croissant. This is a breakup poem. It's with a stormy stomach and tingling skin I write this. Mon cher petit croissant. Gone are the days when I would enjoy your fresh, flaky, buttery layers. The days when I would slowly savor your flavor. The days when I would hold you, fold you, caress the curve of your rolls, run my tongue along your warm, fleshy insides. Mon cher petit croissant, you betrayed me, you tricked me. All these years we spent our Sundays together at the boulangerie, sometimes with our mutual friend, tea. Your golden, comforting smile peering up at me expectantly. But now how I hate your plate of ingredients, butter and wheat, to find that they have turned on me, become a subtle poison to my insides. My stomach rejects your butter, says give dairy your goodbye letter. My skin boils at your wheat, turning red and itchy, rebelling in a heat. I have been in denial about us. Determined to be happy through the pain, telling myself the pleasure was enough, that I could bear it, be tough. My friends, they said it needed to end. They knew the truth. They said that you weren't worth it, that I should take care of myself, get help. I said they were wrong. I ignored them for so long. I was weak. I couldn't leave you, but my body would no longer have you, so I left. I wept. Mon cher petit croissant, I never wanted it to end like this. Rice flour and sorghum flour will never match your lighthearted airiness, your without a care calorie fare. No amount of baking soda will do. I will always compare new gluten-free pastries to you. They move through me, but they don't move me. They may sit well in here, but not in here. I don't know them. We have no history, no travel stories like all those adventures of me running to the bus or biking with you hanging out of my mouth, precariously hanging south. I saw you the other day. Through the window in the cafe. You look good. And you were sitting with someone new. I wanted to storm in and rip you out of their hand and just take you away like our yesterdays. Instead, I just stood. You didn't see me. Unsurprising, since there have always been others in line wanting you behind me. And that's when I realized I needed to move on. So this is my swan song. Mais je ne t'oublierai jamais. Oh non. Au revoir. Bonne chance, mon cher petit croissant.
for the hundreds upon hundreds of missing and murdered Aboriginal women.
How must justice be done for these women who lie fried with the fiery fluorescence of sun-dried blood, over forgotten flower beds,
over dirt,
over kill,
under garments of silk whose armor proved false,
under hands of murder and misplaced masculinity,
under men, underlings with racism rage,
who claimed ownership over undergarments and underarms overbearing, who let loose the violent dogs of unchecked demons and let go their inherited inhibitions for a war. Yes, how must justice be done for these warriors whose souvenirs stick sickly under forgotten fingernails,
who would rise,
who would live,
who would love,
if allowed,
who would tend,
who would care,
who would mother,
if invited. Fie on the man who forgets his own origin in the goddess explosion of Big Bang womanhood. This is not justice. This is dust.
To cloud the air with clusters of hate and rape,
that make gag the cockroaches who survive the bomb and the quake,
who do not otherwise flinch. This is not justice. This is a river of crushed bones, whose salmon swim dead up the stinking stream to notice not the ghosts, mirages of God, of self,
for fear,
of red hands and red skin, for fear,
of the cider sweet smell of fermenting First Nations females. How will Lady Justice answer these, the antitheses of prayers?
How will Mother Earth either garden or grow in a garden of Gethsemane,
whose flowers blossom with the blisters of betrayal,
whose bushes bloom with boils and with tumors?
How must justice be done for these prisoners,
who parade unnoticed through the sagging streets of desire,
in the dark-lit cars with so-called
strangling
men,
hands grope at the dangling strands of hope,
the madness of
with the uncanny uncaring
who violates,
faking, forgetting. This is not justice. This is a shallow grave to die in a man's neglected conscience.
A shallow grave to die in mankind's collective conscience.
This is not justice.
To lie.
Under only layers of leaves,
fallen and silent,
like this.
Lost in these haystacks,
like needles,
glory,
stolen by the shady straw man.
Oh men, this is not justice to win favor only among earthworms, among spiders. This is not justice to die in dark patches of soiled soil, in turmoil to toil, in undug graves. This is not justice.
This is not justice.
This is
dirt. This is
dirt.
This is not justice. This can only be, ever be, dirt.
So in the spirit of Vancouver tonight, we do what we want! My name is Lindsay Jack. It's my honor to be part of the KW Slam team and be their captain this year. Thank you so much for having us our very first time out. We know we're fourth today, so I want to end off by saying thank you very much. It has been an evening of very serious pieces, and I would now like to share something that is very, very dear to my heart, and I hope you like it. Thank you again for having us. On the bus, I'm the jerk whose right ass cheek creeps over onto what would have been your seat, giving you no rest for sore feet because I need space. I'm the bastard with the bulging book bag blocking the back exit with the weight of my body visceral. I make oppression literal as you try to just squeeze out the nearest exit. And that guy who sidewalks the walk, strutting and swaying with a stance 2 miles wide, I'm that motherfucker too. Dumb as a post and stiff as a board with my full back. I am nothing but a hat rack, a place to hang my invisible backpack so I can get more privilege, more privilege, more privilege. Bonafide douchebag, certified crotch rag, and stupid enough to use these words as insults. I'll hollow you out faster than you can say concavity, max myself by playing down gravity, put you in a doubt when I back my shit with patriarchy. Like, come on, lighten up. It's just a joke. The fault lines that make up this man align not only along the cracks of the gender divide, but ricochet wide, opening chasms and fracturing lines. And we successfully named every pitfall he opened with his wake. Racism, ageism, classism, ableism, all schisms he created to carve out his territory from other people in other places. And it's easy to recognize this man. How could it not be? Just look for the copies. There's a million of them everywhere you go. From billboards to backyards, even outsides to picket lines. And to poetry slams. So with this in mind, it's time to pull your beliefs in line, suspend your gender, we're going for a ride. Here comes the mind bender. We've all been this guy. I mean, I am. Every time I call a woman a bitch, unconsciously, as if somehow it's second nature to us both to be this way. I am. Every time I get nervous, involuntarily, when a black man stands next to me. But guilt's got nothing on accountability. So today I'm taking a pledge. Shout out to my queer scouts, put your 3 fingers up. I solemnly swear to shut the fuck up when no one is talking to me or when others speak their truth. I will get the hell out of my own way and take responsibility for my actions. I'm committing to be conscious of my being and when I'm using it to take space from others. I recognize that change isn't a set of actions, but a life lived consciously and mindfully. So in honor of those whom I have wronged and seek to do right by, I now leave this stage with no last word, holding spaces for voices unheard.
I remember my last day of first grade. When the bell sounded and set us all free, I ran clear home to my room and shut the door. Lay out on my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bedspread and said, wow, I've really made it. And then again, on the last day of high school, cruising home along the side streets, windows all the way down, no effects on the stereo, all the way up, so long, and thanks for all the shoes. I said to myself in the review mirror, I've made it. 4 years later, I took degree, but skipped the ceremony. I'd gone off to the mountains, chop wood, carry water, repeat. Watching stars come out, alone, I thought to myself, I've made it. In the mountains, I learned to walk long distances. When I came to the village of Maysot, a rare flower blooming in the thick of a far-off jungle, I thought I'd made it. So I came home. Learned guitar, painting, French, and I studied the other people around me, considered their lives and mine, until I went back out into the deserts, sat with the sages, Bedouin, guru, and I must have thought I'd finally made it then, because I began writing poems about it all. I wrote a few poems, clinked glasses with some professors, but there was a hollow in that clink that told me I hadn't made anything. I checked my pockets. It was true. I hadn't made anything. So now I just try to pay the rent on time, to eat well, get enough exercise, and keep learning. And I stay up late, into the night, with the other would-be poets, bearing out the language till the substance of control fades away, wearing out the language till the stars too start going home. That's when I douse the fire enter the empty mouth of the house, ascend the stairs to lie down nightly with my beating love upon my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bedspread.
Yes, come into my office.
Yo, Doc, I got a problem. A big problem.
A big problem?
A big ego.
I've heard of this. Let's see what we can work through. Now, Proof, you must eventually realize that this inflated sense of self-worth is ultimately worthless.
But I'm so great.
Be that as it may, many signs can be seen on a daily basis, proving that your distinction in the grand dichotomy is minimal at best, insignificant most probably.
Yet my ego dismisses this as irrelevant and inconsequential.
In actuality, my dear Proof, you are irrelevant and inconsequential.
How so?
Let's see. Now of the nearly 7 billion people on the planet, how many actually know you?
Well, first of all, I'm unable to conceptualize beyond 55 of anything.
Thumbtacks, cars, beautiful women?
Nothing.
So to even begin at 7 billion is impossible. So of 55 people, what skills are you the best at? Lover, fighter, discus thrower, slam poet?
Well, I did make sense.
Relax, it's not the finals. What about traits? Are you by any chance the most attractive, least attractive, tallest, fastest? Now tell me, Proof, and be honest. How many revolutions have you raised?
None.
How many songs in the key of life have you sang?
Rien.
That's French for nothing, so you at least speak French?
That's the only word I know.
It says here you released a compact disc of rap music entitled Master of the Flying Guillotine.
Guillotine.
Irrelevant. Tell me, do people in, say, Madagascar bump this shit? Does anyone here tonight know what that is?
Who are you even talking to?
It doesn't matter. So in comparison to your own species, you're clearly nothing special.
Well, maybe I should try my luck with nature. Certainly I must have the upper hand.
Sadly, your ego is once again thwarted by logic and existence. You see, Proof, in Canada, life expectancy is 81 years, but this does not take into consideration cancer, AIDS, genetically modified foods, smog, bears, incorrect prescription, peer pressure, secondhand smoke, drunk drivers, winter, haters, lightning, police. Need I continue?
No, please. Stop.
It's for your own good. Now, Proof, the white elm will live in excess of 200 years if it is not infected with Dutch elm disease. That's one thing to worry about. Some lizards and turtles will live hundreds of years. Some trees can bear fruit well over 80 years.
There's no way I'm bearing fruit in my 80s unless it's the dry kind.
No, there's no way. Now, Proof, do you realize that most birds can fly, breathe air at high altitudes with no ill effect, swoop down, claw the hell out of things, and then return to their homes in the trees, which they built themselves?
I'm unable to fly unassisted. I'm often short of breath. Moving swiftly to eat has never been a ritual practice, and my home is constructed of bricks.
Why is it constructed of bricks?
Because I'm so great?
No, it's because nature will fucking kill you.
Well, maybe I'm going about this incorrectly. Maybe I'm too big for the planet.
Okay, let's delve into your relevance in relation to the cosmos. Now, Proof, the universe is said to be 65 billion years old, expanding exponentially, and is virtually inaccessible to you due to the fact that you are human. Tell me, why is that?
I'm unable to withstand the cold. I can't withstand the pressure. And the inability to fly independently really hampers my space travel.
So now when you stare at the stars, understand that to yourself you may be full of imaginary greatness, but in the grand workings of history, all your contributions will surely be lost in the forever unfolding spirals of time.
Thanks, Doc. You know what? You're great.
Yeah, I'm the best. Now get out of my office.
All right. We're still killing time, so apparently it's time for my really awful jokes. Where's Mike McGee? I really enjoyed your jokes the other day. What are knock-knock jokes? Is that what those are? Yeah, okay. So, ready? I'm going to tell you my favorite knock-knock joke, and you're going to groan, but it's the best joke in the world. Put your fingers up like this. Go like this. Knock, knock. Woo. Woohoo! No, not even laughing at me? Really? That's my favorite joke, you guys. I only do team pieces in my underwear when my friend Kira is with me. For those of you who don't understand that reference, I'm part of a duo called the Queens of Inappropriate, and we perform in our underwear. Yes, and songs about things that I'm not going to mention on the mic on camera at the CFSW semifinals. No, I'm not doing that song on the mic right now. What else would you like to? A poem? Really? Okay. Do we have time for that? Yeah, you're like, yes, kill more time. Okay, Let me see if I can remember a poem. Oh, you do not want to hear me improvise, I promise. The summer felt electrically infinite, like only days bathed in endless light can do, so a week with you before I left town seemed like a really good idea. You showed up for our first date, tipsy, late, with a cigarette dangling from your mouth, and I thought, strike 1, 2, 3, but I am riding high in these borrowed cowboy boots, and I'm not ready to go home alone. So we wandered down to the river, shared red wine and deep philosophical posturing on both sides, and when I'd had enough of your trademark cynicism, I kissed your gruff face to shut you up and drag you home. I promised lingerie for Act 3, so back in my apartment full of half-packed boxes and my neurotic mewling cat, I riffled through the closet to find that ruffled polka-dotted number I bought for an ex-lover by your name but never wore, donned it for you instead, and we made lust with our eyes closed. Months later, after a weekend spent between butter-sex bamboo sheets, a weekend I'm sure even my neighbors will remember, my friends asked me point blank if I was breaking your heart. I usually have a sense of these things, but the words behind your eyes don't always match those on your lips, so the next time I saw you cuddled naked and shivering underneath 4 layers of blankets in your treehouse apartment, I turned the question on you. Searched your eyes for anything other than the truth I thought I might find, got the answer I was looking for, and we made lust with our eyes closed. Another lover once asked me if you were a cupcake, if he was a cupcake. I laughed, said no, that if anyone was a cupcake, it was you. Cupcakes are that salve we reach for in times of war with the voices inside our head swallowing sprinkles on top of strife because it's easier than sitting still. Cupcakes are that lead us into that downward spiral of self-contempt, leading us right back where we started from, reaching for another cupcake or a pint of ice cream or a lover whose eyes we can't meet when we fuck. But you are low voice grumbling. Rough fingers playing ribcage piano keys, breath hot against my neck, so I give in, and we bury our faces in each other's shoulders as we lose ourselves to heat. Somewhere, somehow you have lost the sense of saccharine temptation, turned tangible, inedible, and now the smell of cigarettes and men's sweat from a passerby on Bloor Street reminds me of your dirty t-shirts, the way you look when I leave, and the way that our eyes meet in the moments after. Okay. Oh, hey, do you know who this is? This is Charles Hamilton, our festival director. Yeah, he's gonna put medals around people's necks. Check it out, medals. All right, so the top 2 teams from this evening's bout are going to move on to tomorrow's finals. Are you ready? They're small on the neck? Yeah, I got a fat neck. Okay, in 4th place with a total score of 73.1, KW. Oh, I got that wrong. That score was wrong, but they're still in 4th place. It's at 98.5 is the total score. For those of you who are like, what the hell? Okay, thank you, Missy, for correct. I was like, 78, that doesn't sound right. Okay, in 3rd place with a total score of 102.3, Canadian+slam. In 2nd place with a very close total of 102.6, Calgary. Which means in 1st place with a total score of 102.9, Saskatoon.